Hi, good morning, everyone. We're just going to give it a few minutes to let people get in and then we'll get started. Hi, I'm Kate Kaufman. I'm the Director of Education and Workforce for CEL. We're really excited that you are here this afternoon to hear from Tony Harl, who's the Assistant Director of Career and Technical Education at the Governor's Workforce Cabinet and the Office of Career and Technical Education. Before Tony gets started, I just want to do a little housekeeping. As you can see, this is the first in a series of April Lunch and Learns. So our next one is on April 13th around social and emotional learning. We'll then have one on the 20th for around 8th grade transition, and April 27th is on learning loss. All of these are designed to be casual. There'll be a brief presentation by our speaker or our expert, and then really turn it over to you as counselors to talk about things you are doing in your schools with these topics or questions you have around these topics. You can access past recordings of our previous Lunch and Learns at the web address shown, and we will be sending out the recording of this event. And we also have some contact information on the right for some current CEL staff if you have any questions. Sandy Hillman leads our early college, and Laura Tucker also leads early college. They usually host these Lunch and Learns, but couldn't be here today because they're at an early college endorsement. So I'm happy to fill in, and I'd like to turn this over to Tony and let him introduce himself, and then he's got some staff he also wants to introduce. And then when Tony's finished, we'll take questions. Feel free to put them in the chat as we're going, and I will share them with Tony. But at the end of his presentation, I'll also have some of you unmute and maybe ask your question directly of Tony. So Tony, thanks for being with us today, and I'm just going to turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you, Kate. I appreciate it. Look, always enjoy the opportunity to share a little bit more about what we're doing with the Office of Career and Technical Education. I do have a couple of people joining me today. The first is Amanda Gist. Amanda is one of our new career specialists. I say new because I think she's been with us almost a month now. So, but she is getting up to speed very quickly on all that is taking place, and will be one of the individuals that will be able to help answer your questions if you're not able to contact me or especially about specific pathways. The other one, I am not sure. Amanda, I'm just going to ask that you kind of say hello. I'm hoping that by doing that, that'll bring everybody will recognize like who you are and can put a face with a name.
Hello, nice to meet everybody.
And then the other career specialist that we have with us today is Njema Beckley. And Njema has been with us for a little bit over a year, so you may have seen her at some of our other presentations. But again, the hope will be that in the very near future that you will have a specific name of a individual that you can contact with either a specific career cluster question or also some other like domains that may come up. So for example, if there's questions about professional development for instructors, or if there's some questions around working with special education students or other special populations that in the CTE programs, you would contact Njema in that case, and she would be able to help you with that. So with that, I am going to, Njema, are you on? Yes, I see Njema, so I'm going to ask Njema to say hello.
How you guys doing? Sorry, I'm not camera ready right now, but yes, I am the one you would contact for all things special populations, along with human service, education, hospitality, amongst other things. It's wonderful to be on this call with you guys today, and I am really excited for what you will hear from Tony today.
All right. So with that, I've tried to share my screen, and I am guessing that one of the questions in the chat is probably whether or not we can share the slide deck. We'll be more than happy to share that with Kate or or cell, and then they can distribute that as they need. So we'll take care of that after this. But we're going to dive right in. I will tell you that I've really focused in on the next level programs of study that are being introduced this year and that are available for schools to start implementing this fall. But at the end of this, if you have any other questions around whether it's technical honors diplomas or anything else that falls under the CTE world, we'll be more than happy to answer those questions as well. All right, so just to kind of give you a little bit of background about why are we doing next level programs of study? Why are we trying to change some of the CTE courses that have been around for many, many years? But the first reason for that is because of our changing economy. And we know that from all of the estimates that anywhere from 60 to 65% of careers by the year 2025 are going to require some sort of education and training beyond high school, so like high school plus. So as with that in mind, the Governor's Workforce Cabinet, which now serves as the eligible agency for CTE and our Perkins program, they have established a goal that by 2025, we would like to have 60% of the working population to have some form of a credential. And currently we're at 48.5%. This is an increase of about 5%. This puts us about 35th in the nation in terms of credential attainment. And so this is moving up. And if you look at this, we currently have about 540,000 Hoosiers who have begun college but have no credential to show for it. So there's a lot of room there that we can still build upon that 48.5%. Although the pandemic has been a challenge, there's also the opportunity within the pandemic here of really focusing some of the efforts that have taken place through the Next Level Jobs program. But the key part to this when we're talking about secondary students, though, is the idea of being able to sustain that 60%. So once we meet that goal, the idea will be that we have to not only sustain, but grow that percentage of credential attainment. And when we start to look at a typical high school cohort from a statewide perspective, what we know is there's about 80,000 or so students in a senior cohort. Of those 80,000 students, about 9,000 are not going to graduate. They're not going to receive the diploma. 25,000 of those have no plan beyond high school other than to get a job. And so we start to look at that. We get to the point where we have 45,000 will head to college or university in the fall. We actually know from the early college report that the number of students that are planning on attending college or that are heading to college is actually going down for the first time in years. Some of that may be pandemic related, but that's certainly a concern of ours as we're looking at this. But out of those 45,000 that head to college or university this fall, about 8,500 of those will be out of college by the end of year one, that they will not return for their second year, or they may not even have continued past the semester. So what you're looking at is, so you have almost 50% of a graduating cohort that by 1 year outside of graduation, over half of those are now no longer in any type of training program or post-secondary program. And when we look at this and we start to look at this 6 years out, and if you think about this, so if a student graduates when they're 18, by the time they're 6 years out, they're now 24. So they're going to be reaching that age where they would be included in that working population. By the time they get to that point, by the time they get to that age, only about 38% of those students have earned some sort of a credential. And so then from that point on, if we're going to sustain this 60%, then we have to continue to play catch up. We have to find ways to either get them enrolled in additional post-secondary education or training, or to come up with or find ways for them to earn those credentials that they so desperately need in order to be successful in today's economy. So
Jocelyn
this,
Morgan to the front office,
this,
please. Jocelyn Morgan to the front office.
this really emphasizes the point of how critical it is that whenever we can, that we actually allow students or provide students the opportunity to earn a credential while they're in high school. Or at the very least, get a jump start on that credential so that they will be able to complete that credential with minimal time and expense after they graduate high school. And hopefully we'll be able to not only sustain that 60%, but push it more towards 65 or even beyond that, so that the students are prepared for those careers. So a couple of years ago, knowing that this challenge was out there with our workforce and knowing how the economy was changing, and in July of 2018, the Carl D. Perkins Act was reauthorized at the federal level. And because of that, many states, and Indiana included in that, were beginning to reevaluate, rethink their CTE programs. And the governor's workforce cabinet had appointed special committees to start taking a look at this issue. And as they did that, and they started to kind of dive a little bit deeper into career and technical education, they really started to ask some questions that became driving questions or essential questions for us in the Office of CTE, and how we were going to develop our Perkins plan or our Perkins program plan for the Perkins 5, which you may refer to. If you're not familiar with Perkins or that, just know that Perkins is the federal act or the federal law that kind of sets the foundation and provides a vision for career and technical education. So, but some of these questions that were coming out of this were why doesn't CTE give students the chance to master the same skill set, regardless where they are receiving that CTE program? And what we were seeing in our current system is that there were vast differences, great inconsistencies between one location that was providing a program in welding and another location that was providing a program in welding. The other question that came up was, why don't dual credits align and lead to specific credentials? So often we've heard this phrase over the last several years, the random acts of dual credit. And this was just as prevalent, maybe even more so in career and technical education as it was on the liberal arts side. So really starting to ask ourselves, well, why? What is the applicability of the dual credits that students are earning through their CTE programs? And then lastly, and quite honestly, maybe the most important question that we should be asking is, you know, in an era of early college and other programs, college while in high school programs, why aren't more high school CTE students earning a stackable credential before they graduate high school or shortly thereafter? So those were some of the questions that we were coming up with, that we were finding. And there's many answers to those, there's many solutions, but one of the primary keys to our program plan and our future success will be the next level programs of study. The next level programs of study have been designed to improve consistency across Indiana, to make it so that it doesn't matter if a student is taking welding or precision machining at a school in Northern Indiana, they're going to receive the same education and training and have the same opportunity to earn those skills as a student in Southern Indiana or Western Indiana or some other location. The other major difference that we are doing is we've always taken the approach that we've built secondary courses first and then kind of went to the post-secondary and said, okay, well, we have this course, what will you give us dual credit for? And what we are doing with the next level programs of study is we are really operating under the idea of backwards design. And if we know that the post-secondary credentials are what we're after, what we're seeking for our students, then we are looking at the post-secondary courses that are required for those credentials, and then directly aligning the high school secondary courses to those post-secondary courses so that there's no questions about what students will be able to earn in terms of dual credit or college credit. And then the other thing around the next level programs of study is more opportunities to complete Indiana's graduation pathways. We'll talk about this a little bit more in detail, maybe when we get to the career guide. There's some parts in the career guide that talk about how CTE can help students with graduation pathways. And I think on minimum, it's students that are involved in a CTE program will be able to meet at least 3 of the different graduation pathways or programs of study. In many cases, that may be 4 or 5 of those graduation pathways. Not to mention, it can also help to meet that bucket 2 requirement of work-based learning. One thing I would like to point out over here on the side here, the students can complete 1 year's worth of college. I think this is really important because what we've tried to do with the next level programs of study is provide students the same opportunity that they currently have if they are on the liberal arts side and they are completing the Indiana College Core, or what was formerly known as the STGEC. The next level programs of study have all been aligned to technical certificates from Ivy Tech and certificates of graduation through VU that are the equivalent of about 30 college credit hours in a technical program. So the next level programs of study truly are a CTE option to the college core. So that is really critical for the students to be thinking about that opportunity for students that are going through a CTE program, and that, you know, really getting away from the idea that CTE can be about both exploration, but also about preparation. So that's a huge benefit of the next level programs of study and what we're trying to do. Just want to talk a little bit about how the structure of the courses have changed or will change in the future. As many of you are very aware, the current CTE courses, many of them are listed as level 1 and level 2 courses. The level 1 courses can be taken or can be offered anywhere from 1 to 3 credits per semester, or essentially that becomes anywhere from a student may be able to take 2 credits of a CTE program in a year, 4 credits of that CTE program in a year, up to 6 credits of that CTE program in a year. And that really causes that inconsistency that we talked about a moment ago, in the sense that that's the difference between a student receiving 150 hours of instruction in, say, welding, compared to a student earning or having 450 hours of instruction in welding. There's no way that you can compare, you know, the skill sets of those 2 students that have come from those 2 different experiences. So by breaking that level 1 course up into 3 separate 2 credit courses, it is allowing us to better define exactly what skills should be taught with each one of those credits. So the level 1 courses, one way to look at this is to say that a level 1 course is basically equal to the principles course plus the concentrator A course plus the concentrator B course. And by doing that and having those 3 separate 2 credit courses, we're going to be able to greatly increase the consistency of what students learn and are able to do once we have implemented the next level programs of study. All those 3 courses, which we kind of refer to as the concentrator course sequence, because all 3 of those courses are required in order to earn a CTE concentrator, are followed by a capstone course option that the students may take if they want to go deeper into a pathway or deeper into a program of study. The capstone courses, though, are remaining very similar to how our level 2 courses work, in that they can be taken from anywhere from 2 credits per year up to 6 credits per year, just depending upon the availability of time and space for those training programs. But the idea being there is that capstone course will provide students the opportunity to have embedded work-based learning. It will also, if courses that are required for the technical certificate or the certificate of graduation are not available through dual credit. Students may have that opportunity to earn those credits still through dual enrollment. But those courses have been included in the capstone course overall. So I think we hope that this provides the flexibility to schools, to any school, to be able to offer these programs, but at the same time, providing students that opportunity to go very deeply into a pathway or a program of study and actually earn that technical certificate or certificate of graduation. So this is a typical program of study. One of the things that you will note in the next level programs of study is that every pathway will follow the same structure. Where we currently we have some courses that are 2 credit courses. And then we have a lot of these courses that are the 1 to 3 credits per semester courses. Every program of study is going to be exactly the same. It is not by coincidence that this 4-course model was adopted. Some of the most popular programs that we have are the Project Lead the Way engineering programs, as well as the Project Lead the Way biomedical programs. And one of the things that is nice about those is that they begin with a principles course and they work their way through some more specific courses. So we kind of borrowed from that model, as well as, I mean, this was a very common model with some other states that we reviewed as well. But so we came up with the 4-course model. It was something that would work well with our current courses and to make that transition. But just some of the things that we have looked at as a part of this is that, 1, they are aligned to Ivy Tech and VU. If you're wondering why Ivy Tech and VU, it's twofold. The first reason is because they are also eligible recipients for Perkins funds. So there is that partnership there between those 2 institutions. And part of the reason that they are eligible for Perkins funds is because they are also the schools then that are offering these technical certificates, the certificates of graduation and associate's degrees. So that's part of the reason for that partnership. We've already talked about how the courses are aligned. We have already taken into account the prerequisites for these courses. So for example, if I'm looking on here and I know that, you have to take welding 100 before you can take welding 108, that's already been built into the course sequence. The other thing that we've tried to do is, if you look at our current courses, it's completely kind of random in terms of how many dual credits is a high school credit worth. You see some courses where students will be able to earn 6 dual credits in that time frame. You'll see other courses where they're only able to serve 3. You'll see some that are more, some that are less, but it's really a variety, and there's no real good reason why that happens. One of the things that we have tried to do is we have tried, especially in the concentrator courses, to put 2 dual credit courses or about 6 credit hours worth of college credit into each concentrator course. And this is all strictly based upon the contact hours that are required to complete those post-secondary courses. So when we came up with that, we didn't want to just throw 2 courses together and say, okay, this is a high school course. As much as possible, we've truly tried to find logical pairs of courses to create that high school course. So if you look at this, welding 108 is shielded metal arc welding, and welding 206 is advanced shielded metal arc welding. So, that's a very natural combination. It's easy for us to put those together. It's the same thing for the gas welding processes. Those are 2 courses that apply to MIG welding. And please don't ask me to explain what MIG welding is. I don't know. I just know the terms because I've been talking about this for like 2 years, and it seems like it's an unwritten rule that every example revolves around welding. But we can try to throw in some other courses here later on and show you some of those examples. But we've tried to create very logical connections between those courses. The other thing that we will be releasing here very soon is a dual credit crosswalk for the next level programs of study courses. We have really worked with Ivy Tech and VU to expand or broaden the number of courses that are available for dual credit. We're really trying to make sure that students have the opportunity to get through these concentrator courses, that principles, the concentrator A and the concentrator B, and have all of those courses be available for dual credit whenever we can. So this is probably the most important information for you as you're trying to figure this out. There are many schools that are taking advantage of the fact that these courses will be available for 21-22, but there is nothing that says you have to use the next level programs of study courses for 21-22. They are available. Schools have the opportunity to opt in. I've referred to it as kind of a soft grand opening. As you do that, we will have all of the information, the course titles and descriptions, the funding memos, the dual credit crosswalk. We are getting ready. We will be posting finalized standards and competencies for these courses. We expect to have those up and posted tomorrow. There's already a review document that is up on our site. But if a school decides we are not ready to do this, we don't want to do this, it's been a trying year, there's just a lot of things going on, we're going to wait a year, there is no problem with that. All of the current courses that are currently available will be available for the 21-22 school year. The only thing that you need to keep in mind is that the class of 2025, which are going to be freshmen next year, are required to use the next level programs of study in order to earn CTE concentrator status. Your classes of 23 and 24 are eligible to use either Perkins 4 or no, I'm sorry. Please forget that I said that. Are eligible to use Perkins 5 pathways or the next level programs of study. Your class of 22, which are your seniors next year, can still use the Perkins 4 pathways for one more year, but they are the last class that will have the option of using the Perkins 4 pathways. Just going over the timeline really quickly here. I just mentioned that we were going to be posting the finalized course standards. We expect to do that tomorrow. We're just putting the finishing touches on those. Throughout the month of April, we will be doing the CTE dual credit crosswalk. And then one of the things, because 22-23 school year will be the more official implementation year, we're going to try to have the course titles and descriptions, the funding memo, the dual credit crosswalk, all of that information available by July or August when school is starting again this fall, so that schools can make those decisions that they need to. This is a real quick example here of how the funding would work. If I am a current school that I am offering welding technology 1, or let's say that I'm offering it for 1 to 3 credits. For 1 credit, I receive $680. If I offer it for the full 3 credits, I would get $2,040. Because of the way that we are setting up the prerequisites and the co-requisites with the next level programs of study, a student that has 3 periods a day or is on a half-day training program would be able to enroll in all 3 of the concentrator courses, because that's equal to the level 1 course. And then you would see that they would get $680 for each, but that would total the $2,040. So the funding should be about the same, whether you're using current courses or doing next level programs of study courses. The assignment codes, we've had a copy of the assignment codes, a draft version posted on our website for the last month or 2. But basically what we've looked at is we've said, okay, what did a teacher need in order to be able to teach welding technology 1? Whatever it is that they needed to teach welding technology 1, that's what they would need to teach the other 3, the 3 concentrator courses for the next level programs of study. And I'm going through this really quick, but I want to leave plenty of time for your questions. I kind of alluded to this just a moment ago. Students can enroll in the they can enroll in 1, 2, or up to 3 of the concentrator courses in a given year. The limit is actually 6. So if in year 2, if that becomes, you know, maybe you want to enroll in concentrator A and B and a couple of credits of the capstone course, that is fine. Students can do that. But the limit is 6 in a pathway in a given year. We will have some rules and some examples about how you would actually enroll those students. But keep in mind that just like a teacher does it now, regardless of how you may need to enroll those students in order to make sure that you get it, you know, the funding that you're entitled to, the teacher can still set their curriculum map for the year. And one of the things that I would like to point out is coming up here towards the end of April, we're going to be offering some instructors workshops for how they can implement the next level programs of study. So those will start taking place on April 20th. You can look for tomorrow in our update. We will have some registration links for where instructors can register for those pathways. I just want to talk real quickly about the principles course and how you may implement these programs of study and how they may look in your school. One of the biggest things that we've been asked is, well, we'll just use principles courses to replace the introductory courses. Principles courses and introductory courses are not the same thing. It very well may work out in certain pathways that it makes a lot of sense for a student to come in and to take a principles course their freshman year, especially like in ag and in business, where those pathways aren't typically offered by a career center, or that principles course applies to several pathways. Makes perfect sense to have them start with that principles course. In other pathways, they're probably going to be better off waiting until their junior year or their senior year, especially those more trade intensive pathways that are offered at your career centers. You know, that's when they would take the principles course. The principles courses are dual credit courses. They have dual credits. They are aligned to required courses for these certificates and TCs. So that really separates them from the introductory courses, which are more exploratory courses. The principles courses are very much preparation type courses. So it's important to keep that in mind. One of the big questions I think you have to ask yourself about when we're going to offer principles courses is, when will our students be ready to earn those dual credits? If you think your students are ready to be able to earn those dual credits when they're freshmen, great, have them take that as a freshman. If it's more their sophomore year, have them take that their sophomore year. The one thing that we would share here is we really strongly discourage schools from offering a principles course only and then not having the rest of the pathway for the students to take. Again, these are preparation courses. These are courses that lead to credentials. They lead to certifications. If you're going to offer the principles course, you really should offer students the opportunity to complete that pathway, at least through concentrator status. You can see here, this is an example of a course. We were just using the engineering pathway as an example here of where the student may come in. They would take the principles course their freshman year. They can take concentrator A their sophomore year, concentrator B their junior year, and then even take the pathway capstone course their senior year. Another option, though, is you may have your students come in and they're just not ready for that dual credit to start yet. And you know, you want them to take preparing for college and careers. You want them to take an introductory course. You could then have them take the principles course their sophomore year. And then they could either double up their junior or maybe their senior year to get that concentrator A and concentrator B. And we would really like to encourage schools to offer at least through 2 credits of the capstone course. The other option is, this is more of a half-day training program model, or like maybe a career center model. Grades 9 and 10, students can take preparing for college and careers. They can take the introductory courses. Their junior year, they'd go to the career center and they would take principles, concentrator A and concentrator B. Their senior year, then they can take the pathway capstone course for as many credits as they have room in their schedule for. The last course that I just would like to touch on we have created a course called the Technical Skill Development course. There's really 3 different possibilities for this course. The first is that, let's say that the sequence just seems too fast for your students, or it's a little fast for the way that your instructor would like to do this. They would like to provide those students with additional lab or hands-on time. They can do that. They can use the Technical Skills Development course in conjunction with like the Concentrator A or the Concentrator B course to provide students a little bit more time. More and more, we are seeing schools that are offering SEALs or youth apprenticeship models, which when they're taking these courses, they have a lot more built-in work-based learning. That's going to take up time. So it may be something that you could use the Technical Skills Development course to provide that time for that more intensive work-based learning experience. And then you would also be taking that in conjunction with the Concentrator A or the B course. The Technical Skills Development course, because it can be used with any Concentrator A or B, will be funded as an introductory course, but it does not count in terms of credits for Concentrator status. This is just an example of at the Career Center. Let's say that a student at a high school took the principles course. Maybe they took principles of ag their freshman year, and they decided that they get to their junior year and they want to go to the Career Center and take the precision ag program that we've developed. That student could then take Concentrator A and Concentrator B along with the Technical Skills Development course to round out the 3 credits that they're there at the Career Center, but also still provide some funding for that enrollment as well. So that's the 3rd way that it can be used. But I just wanted to kind of introduce that. And then lastly, if you have not seen it yet, there are hard copies of this available. We still have a bunch of them in our office. We worked on these and we had them delivered about the time the pandemic started. And we've never been able to get these fully distributed, but there is a online version available that the link is on our web page. So if you go to the Governor's Workforce Cabinet's webpage and to our program of study page, it is there and available. And with that, I'm going to put up our email addresses so that you can always contact us if you need to, but I'm going to try to open it up for questions.
So Tony, there's a few in the chat. First of all, Tim wanted to just clarify the dual credit crosswalk that you had said that's coming out by the start of school, right? July?
Yep.
Okay.
No, we will, for the next level programs of study courses, we will have that ready by, I would say, the end of April, no later than the middle of May.
Okay. And that will be found also on the next level program of study website?
Yeah.
Okay. So I did link to the CTE website and the next level program study in the chat for everyone, just in case you're not familiar with those 2 websites. Jamie Galloway has a question, and Jamie, if I don't get this perfect, feel free to unmute and ask it or clarify what you're asking. But for Perkins 5, for the 2023 and 2024 cohorts, do they just need Concentrator A and Concentrator B for concentrator status? Or if there are prerequisites in the course description guide, would they need to be completed as well?
So they just have to have Concentrator A and Concentrator B for Perkins 5. However, if you're going to receive funding for those courses, if there are required prerequisites, the students have to have those required prerequisites as well. Okay.
And when you say funding, you mean specifically funding from you, not Perkins funding?
State 30A funding, yeah.
Okay.
The CTE funding that you receive for your CTE enrollments, the additional tuition support.
Jamie, did that answer? Hearing no objections, I'm going to go to the next question then. Okay. So Danielle Neal would like to know, are prep, college, careers, and introductory courses required for next level program of study?
No, they're not required. There's a lot of places that they're encouraged. I personally feel like, there's a lot of schools that are moving preparation for college and careers to the 8th grade level. We still only have 2 introductory courses that'll be available at the 8th grade level for funding. maybe in the future that'll change. I think we would like to see that change. But right now, the only two are Intro to Ag, and then there's a new course, the Essentials of Engineering course is going to serve as the Introduction to Engineering course that would be available at the 8th grade level. The only reason I bring that up is I think the more exploratory that we can take care of earlier, the more opportunities we can provide students in terms of being able to complete that credential, trying to get ready. That being said, I mean, you can still get completely through a pathway and by completely, I mean, all 12 credits of a pathway, if you start your sophomore year and you double up in those years. So there's a lot of possibilities there if that's where you feel your students are ready. So the introductory courses are not required, but certainly there's value in those courses in helping students to decide, maybe helping them decide which specific pathway within a cluster that they would like to participate in, or that they are the most interested in learning. So we encourage it, but it's not required.
Tony, before we got on air, you and I were chatting about the Technical Honors Diploma, and you said you felt like it would be easier to get now because of the 6 dual credits. Can you talk a little bit about why you think the Technical Honors is a little bit easier now?
Well, I think with Perkins 5, and we've created the Perkins 5 pathways, and when we came out with those, we really weren't paying much attention to the Technical Honors Diploma requirements that you have to earn 6 credits in a pathway. Now we've gone back to the Perkins 5 pathways, and we've added in some related courses. We've added in some introductory courses that can be taken along with those to help students get to those 6 credits. But with the next level programs of study, it just becomes a lot easier because the students just need to take the principles, the concentrator A and the concentrator B, and they've got their 6 credits. We will also be aligning the industry certifications where they will be appropriate with the next level programs of study courses. So that'll help to kind of identify which one of those certifications are available that would count towards the Technical Honors Diploma. And then again, with the next level programs of study courses, whenever possible, when those courses have been aligned to post-secondary programs, each one of those courses may have anywhere from 3 credit hours of college credit to up to 6 credit hours of college credit in that sense. Now, that being said, because I want to be perfectly clear, the biomedical pathway, the one that utilizes or where schools can utilize the Project Lead the Way, is not aligned to a post-secondary program. And because of that, there are not dual credits available with that. That is a decision by Ivy Tech. There's just not a strong enough link between the content that is covered in those courses with what is required for any of their courses to be able to offer those courses for dual credit. Unfortunately, there's also not certifications available or credentials available for that particular pathway. So that makes it a little bit of struggle for that particular pathway to earn the Technical Honors Diploma. But I think for the vast majority of the programs of study that we're going to have, it'll be a much clearer path to, okay, this will qualify for the next level programs of study. The one thing I would kind of just throw out there for you, because I know there's a lot of people that are kind of looking at this and saying, we're working on Perkins 4 right now. We've got Perkins 5 here. We're gonna work through Perkins 5 with our 23 and our 24 students. We'll worry about next level programs of study for the class of 2025. And I know that's been a lot of change over the last 2 years, and a lot of different things coming out. The Perkins 5 pathways truly were developed as a short-term solution to a problem. The Perkins Law, the Perkins Act, changed what a CTE concentrator would be. It required us to use 2 credits or 2 courses instead of setting a credit limit or a credit amount. And because of that, we had to come up with, well, what 2 courses are going to count? And so we created Perkins 5 as a short-term solution to get schools through. What I can share with you is next level programs of study are the long-term answer. And if at all possible, you may want to consider doing the next level programs of study and just skipping ever going to Perkins 5, because you can use next level programs of study for your class of 23, your class of 24. And in fact, if your students are going to a career center or they're participating in a half-day program, one of the biggest advantages of the next level programs of study is that if they are taking all 3 of those concentrator courses concurrently, that principles, concentrator A and concentrator B, they will actually be able to earn concentrator status in 1 year under the next level programs of study. Whereas if you're using the current courses, it's going to take them 2 years because they spend 1 year taking the level 1 course and then come back the next year and take the level 2 course. So anything that we can do to help you transition to the next level programs of study, by all means, let us know. But this really is the long-term solution to, trying to organize and develop a structure that works for career and technical education.
Tony, I'm not seeing any questions right now in the chat, but I was wondering if you would mind if you stopped sharing your screen for a second and I pulled up your website. I don't know that all the counselors are aware of the resources that are on there, and I just wanted to maybe see if we could go through it just quickly so that they could see. And you mentioned tomorrow you would be adding the standards out there. So, so within the governor's workforce cabinet, there is a career and technical education page, but there's also a next level program of study page. Can you just kind of share some of the things they would find on here?
Yeah, so the core standards survey that you see up there at the top and the frequently asked questions document were created as we were going through the standards development process, which the result of that is what we're going to be posting tomorrow. But we've been getting feedback from secondary instructors, post-secondary instructors as well. So those surveys are closed, so we can probably pull that off. But the first place I would start is we've tried to take a lot of the questions that we've gotten around next level programs of study and put them into the frequently asked questions document as well. So, and you can see we tried to group questions together under similar topics and stuff, but that would certainly be the best place to start. If you have some questions, if you can't find your answer in there, then by all means you can do that. I would actually scroll down a little bit. And I would look at two things I would look at. I would, one, look at the review document. And if you don't mind calling that up, this is the document that we're going to be providing an updated review document tomorrow. And as you scroll down in this document, what you will see is this lays out an entire program of study. So at the very top of the first page, can you scroll up just like a page and a half or so? A little bit right there. So what you see is you see the 4 courses that will make up the program of study. And then you will see the description. You'll see all of the other course information. In the updated version, we're providing a lot more information about the courses, of what they count for, what are the prereqs, what are the, and also a lot more dual credit information, which credentials they lead to and some of those things. And then we get into the competencies, and we'll actually have updated competencies and standards down there. This document has grown as we've gone through the standards development process. So there's going to be some differences between this document and what is posted tomorrow, but I can tell you that all of those changes came as a result of those surveys that we talked about, as well as the steering committees that we had between secondary and post-secondary instructors that were helping us to put together the standards. So that would be one thing that I would look at. The other thing that I think would be really helpful for counselors would be, if you can go back to our program of study page, would be that mastered pathways list. The mastered pathway list The one right there, Perkins 5 pathways with current courses versus NLPS courses. And it should give you like a spreadsheet or.
It's thinking. Sorry, Tony. I don't know if
Yeah.
it's gonna show it.
It thinks about it as quickly as I do. So
Can you see the spreadsheet?
this is a good document to help you understand what is the difference between, it lists out all of the pathways, it lists out the Perkins 5 pathways, the 2 courses that are required under Perkins 5, and that's what you can see there in the middle. Those are the Perkins 5, the current courses that are required. And then you can see the next level programs of study courses that are over to the right. Again, there's going to be some changes, you know, to the part that's over in the right that came out of the steering committees and the standards development, but everything stays the same in terms of it's still 4 courses. There's always a principal's course. There's always a concentrator A and a B. Any place where you see multiple course listed under like concentrator A or concentrator B, what that means is that the student can take any one of those courses to meet that concentrator A or concentrator B requirement. So I think those are the biggest documents. There's also sample assignment codes on there. There's funding information for the next level programs of study courses on that page. So lots of resources on that page. And we will continue to kind of add those. I would also say that I did not talk about this a great deal, but there is a link to the online version of the career guide on there as well. So that will help you. Gosh, I even forgot about the webinars that we did in December, January, and February that have been put on there as well. So we've got recordings of implementation workshops to help as well.
Thanks for going through that, Tony. I wasn't sure if counselors knew all of this stuff was out there, and we're trying to make this as practical as possible for them. There was a question if you're considering adding the online version or the link to the online version to the Indiana Career Explorer.
Yeah, so that's a really good question. That would actually be, so Career Explorer doesn't actually fall under our domain. It is offered through the Department of Workforce Development, but I think that's something that we could have that conversation with them about. I know that they are currently going through a proposal process for an update or for the new Indiana Career Explorer. So that may be something that we can work into that whenever it will be released and ready to go.
Well, at this time, I don't see any additional questions in the chat. So I do want to give people an opportunity if they have any, but we do appreciate your time, Tony. We know that this has been a big overhaul. Sorry, one more. I think something just popped in the chat. Hold on, let me grab that. Yes, this is being recorded and we will send it out to the participants as well as Tony's slides. He's going to send those to us. So we'll make sure we get that out to everyone.
And I would share with everyone that going back to that resource page, I know I went through really quickly on some of the slides that I had for today. I wanted to leave as much time for questions as possible, but there is also, we did implementation workshops back in January and February where we spent a lot more time going through these. Those recordings are on the website. You can go through those and review those if you would like. Also, I would encourage you, don't hesitate to reach out, contact us. If you have any questions, you can either use the emails that I shared earlier, or we have another email that is very generic. It's just cte@gov.in.gov. So very easy to remember, and you can always contact us that way.
Well, Tony, I just want to thank you and your team for being available today. And I'm just going to share some cell information again here briefly, if you don't mind. Hold on one second. I got to get to the right screen. Any last questions that anyone has, please just go ahead and put in the chat and we'll get that to Tony and get you all answers. But as we mentioned, sorry, I'm clicking the wrong thing.
I don't mean to interrupt, but if I could just make one other comment that is really important to us. And this is part of the reason why we wanted to meet with this group today. We know that students trust school counselors the most in terms of making their choices about careers as well as their courses. So it's really important for us to try to provide as many resources as we can for school counselors, especially considering all that you are asked to do. That was part of the reason why we did the career guide. We wanted to try to put together something that you could have at your fingertips. But the reason I bring all that up is to say that if there are other resources that you think would be helpful, by all means, please let us know. We really want to try to figure out, what can we do to help the school counselors and get the messages out about career and technical education. So just wanted to kind of put that plug in there.
Well, thanks. We appreciate it, Tony. As we mentioned, we have a few more lunch and learns coming up this month, and we hope you'll join us for those on September 13th, the social and emotional learning, the 20th, 8th grade transition, and the 27th, learning loss. Those will all also be recorded and shared to the participants. Tony, shared his email earlier, but if you didn't get that, please let us know. We can add it to the chat. I saw and Jama added her contact information. But we really appreciate everyone coming today and wish you all the best of luck as you implement these programs, because they really will serve your students well and help them get on a path to meaningful employment and post-secondary education after high school. So thank you all for coming, and thanks again, Tony.